Hello everybody, and welcome to the video notes for Unit 3, Day 5, and today we're going to be talking about the opposite of a number. Today's video is dedicated to Carol in 6A. Hi Carol. Let's take a look at what we're trying to find here. So it's asking us, what is the opposite of 8? And how could we show this on a number line? Well, first, let's think, what number is 8 units to the right of 0? Let's put that on our number line down here. So we'll have 0 right in the middle, and we want to go 8 units to the right. So let's count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to be right there. So we'll put 8 here. And then it asks us, what is the opposite of 8? Well, if for 8 we go 8 units to the right, then the opposite we go 8 units to the left. And so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right here. So the opposite of 8 is -8. And you can think of it as it's going all the way across the number line to -8. Here it says, use the same number line above to plot the opposite of -8. Well, if -8 is 8 units to the left, then the opposite of -8 is going to be 8 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, back this way. So the way we can show that on the number line is, it's like we're going, if the opposite's here, it's going this way to +8. So the opposite of -8 is 8. And so you can see is we had our original number, we took the opposite of it, and then when we take the opposite of the opposite, it goes back to the original number here. So the opposite of a number is the original number. We go right back to where we started. The original number. So here's what that looks like in equation form. Equation means that's when you use math symbols instead of words. If our original number is 8, the opposite of that original number is a -8. And the opposite of the opposite means we have -8. And then we're going to take the opposite of this by adding another negative. Right? When we have 2 negatives in a row, we need to put our original number in parentheses like this. And then we take the negative of this. And since we know here, the opposite goes back to the original number, -8 is the same thing as +8. So 2 negatives make a positive. It brings it back to our original 8 up here. Now what if our original number was -8? Well, then the opposite would be, we have -8. We're going to add another negative sign to that. So 2 negatives make this +8. Now, what if we want to take the opposite of this? Well, we would have -8 was our original number. We take the opposite of that, and then we're going to take the opposite of all of that, which would be another negative. So now we have 3 negatives. 2 negatives make it positive, but then we have a negative again, and that brings us all the way back to -8. This is the same thing as if we started with -8, took the opposite of that to make it +8, and then took the opposite of that again to go back to -8. So 3 negatives means it stays negative. 2 negatives means it's positive. All right. Before we do the now you try part, the secret word today is eagle, like the bird. The secret word is eagle. So if you're listening closely, go ahead and write that at the corner of your paper. Secret word is eagle. All right, so now we're going on to the now you try. Just like we did here, you're going to do the same thing down here and then answer these questions on the bottom. So go ahead, pause the video, try the bottom part on your own. Go ahead and do that now. And now you are resuming the video after you have paused and completed this bottom part, all of these questions on your own. Let's take a look. If the original number is 14, the opposite of that is going to be minus 14. And the opposite of minus 14 is going to look like minus 14 and another negative. Two negatives make it positive. Back to the original number, 14. If you got that, 2 gold stars for you. Now, if the original number is negative 7, the opposite of negative 7 is, we're going to have negative 7, like that. Brings it back to positive 7. And the opposite of that, it would have negative 7, and then another opposite with another negative, brings it back to negative 7, which is the original number. If you got that on your own, 3 gold stars. And this one here, 400, the opposite of 400 is negative 400. And the opposite of that would be negative 400. All of that, opposite. All of this, opposite, brings us back to positive 400, the original number. If you got all that, 4 gold stars. In these blanks, the opposite of a positive number is always going to be negative. And the opposite of a positive number is going to stay the original number, which is always going to be positive. And for the last one, the opposite of a negative number, that's always going to be positive. And the opposite of a negative number stays negative. All right. All right. And with that, you can log out of your computers, wrap up your headphones, and get an early start on your homework.